At 3:40 a.m., Iranian air defense radar went blind. Not destroyed, not jammed into static. It showed a clean sky. Minutes later, a swarm of unidentified flying objects crossed protected airspace and struck their targets with precision. No pilots were captured. No aircraft wreckage was found. Just confusion. What mattered more than who launched them was how they got through. Because the defenses did not fail from force. They failed from deception. And this moment quietly confirmed something the world was slow to admit. The future of conflict isn't about explosions. It's about who controls machines, data, and perception. And to understand how we reached this point, we need to start with the machines that removed pilots from the sky. As soldiers don't lock and load anymore. They code and execute. When the US deployed the MQ-1 Predator over Afghanistan in the early 2000s, it was meant to watch, not decide. Operators sat thousands of miles away at Creech Air Force Base in Nevada, piloting aircraft over Central Asia using satellite links. It worked, but barely. Latency was high, signals were fragile. Then came the MQ-9 Reaper, longer range, higher endurance, better sensors, and eventually algorithmic assistance that could flag movement, track vehicles, and prioritize targets. Other nations followed quickly. Turkey's TB2 used in Syria, Libya, and Ukraine, China's Wing-Long series exported across the Middle East, Israel's Harop loitering munition, which can patrol autonomously before diving into targets. In the 2020 Nagorno-Karabakh conflict, Azerbaijani drones dismantled Armenian air defenses that were designed to fight jets, not small autonomous aircraft. No dogfights, no heroic pilots, just machines hunting machines. But removing pilots created a fatal dependency. Every UAV relied on GPS, sensor fusion, and encrypted communication links. And unlike pilots, those could be manipulated. To hijack a UAV, you can overload its memory. The data container has the target's coordinates with a 16-byte metadata buffer. The container is initialized and set with a default safety. It then copies incoming input directly into the packet's metadata field without checking its length. This creates a critical safety concern, where an attacker sends a signal string longer than 16 bytes, overloading memory, and can dereference to write a 1 into the authorized address, rewriting the target's coordinates, resulting in a complete control without raising any suspicion. Which leads directly to the first proof that cyberwarfare could physically hijack reality. In 2011, an American RQ-117 landed intact inside Iran. No missile strike, no shoot-down footage. Iran claimed it was brought down by cyber means. US officials never confirmed, but they never denied. Later analysis suggested GPS spoofing, feeding the drone false location data until it believed it was landing safely at its home base. But this was not an isolated incident. In Ukraine, both sides have repeatedly reported drones being redirected, blinded, or forced down using electronic warfare systems like Russia's Krasuka or Ukraine's Bukovel ID. And to understand how the American drone was brought down without a single shot, we have to look at the Kalman filter. It is the mathematical brain that resolves the conflict between what the drone sees and what the drone feels. The RQ-170 relies on a virtual tether. If the GPS signal is lost, it is programmed to navigate back to its home base in Kandahar, Afghanistan, using preset coordinates. By broadcasting a signal stronger than the actual satellites, Iran did not just jam the drone, they took control of it. The spoofed GPS is greater than the real satellite data. Now the internal state is following the attacker. We dereference the current state. The Kalman filter weighs the GPS input against the drone's data. If the GPS signal is high enough, K approaches 1 and we can calculate the new reality, making the drone correct its path into the Iranian runway. Even civilian systems aren't immune. Researchers at the University of Texas demonstrated GPS spoofing against commercial drones using equipment that cost less than a used car. Cyber warfare does not need to destroy hardware, it just needs to lie convincingly. And once machines trust lies, the most valuable weapon becomes information, especially surveillance. In 2013, Edward Snowden revealed programs like PRISM and XKeyscore, showing that surveillance had shifted from targeted spying to systemic data collection. Since then, it's gone further. China's Skynet and Sharp Eyes initiatives link millions of cameras with facial recognition. Israel's Pegasus spyware developed by NSO Group turned phones into surveillance devices without user interaction. The US Project Maven uses AI to analyze drone footage at scale. However, this isn't about watching one person, it's about mapping behavior. Modern surveillance systems track movement patterns, social proximity, device fingerprints, and behavior anomalies. During the protests in Hong Kong, demonstrators dismantled smart lampposts, not because they were lights, but because they were sensors. And UAVs supercharged this. This wasn't science fiction, this was Saturday. Drones equipped with ISR payloads can loiter, cross-reference, and relay data in real time. But this power cuts both ways. In 2022, researchers showed how data poisoning could train surveillance systems to misidentify objects, vehicles, or people, which means surveillance systems can be turned into misinformation engines. And that opens the door to the most dangerous dynamic of cyber conflict: escalation without visibility. In 2010, a computer worm called Stuxnet quietly sabotaged Iranian nuclear centrifuges. Using the power of C and C++, the machines spun themselves to failure, while operators saw normal readings. That event changed doctrine forever. Since then, Russia has been accused of cyber operations against Ukraine's power grid. Iran-linked groups have targeted water systems and ports. North Korea funds its weapons program through cyber theft. But attribution remains murky. If a power station fails, was it malware or maintenance? If air defenses glitch, was it interference or a bug? This ambiguity is the shield cyber warfare hides behind. Because retaliation requires certainty, and certainty is rare in cyberspace. As a result, states operate continuously below the threshold of open conflict. And with all this in mind, stopping it becomes a political risk, which leads us to the final transformation. The old arms race was visible. Missile counts, aircraft carriers, nuclear tests. The new one is invisible. Capabilities live in repositories, datasets, and model weights. Cyber tools are only discovered after deployment, like SolarWinds, which infiltrated thousands of organizations before detection. Small teams now wield strategic impact. Groups like Fancy Bear, Lazarus Group, or Sandworm operate with state-level backing while maintaining plausible deniability. And because cyber weapons can be reused, modified, and scaled instantly, advantage is temporary. And it brings us back to the moment we began with. The future of conflict will not arrive with alarms. It will arrive quietly. Systems behave normally until they don't. Machines following instructions until those instructions aren't yours. UAVs, hacking, and surveillance are not separate trends. They are a single system. A world where perception and control matter more than force. The battlefield hasn't vanished. It simply moved into places where wars are won with keystrokes, not bullets. And by the time it becomes visible, the outcome may already be decided. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time.